My name is 7Song, and as you guessed, it is a native Russian Jewish name, so as I am a Russian Jew. So just in case you're thinking I'm Native American, you ask me those embarrassing questions and I have to say, no, I'm not Native American. And why do you think that one culture is better than another culture anyway, right? That's just kind of crazy. Every culture has its strong points, its weak points. You know, this infantilizing different cultures always seems odd. So everybody has something to offer, maybe. So, and I live in Ithaca, New York. Anybody? APACE, very good. Or APACA. Poison hemlock. So this is poison hemlock. You wouldn't want to feed it to anybody. There are some medicinal uses. I've never used it that way. I'm a first aid worker. I'm writing a book on herbal first aid because I work a lot with Chad at the Rainbow Gathering. We work very separately. He works, he feeds people, and I treat them with herbs after they eat his food. Actually, he had the best food at the Rainbow Gathering. So how did that come up? Poison ivy, Chad, poison hemlock rather, Puck, Rainbow Gathering, got it. So I work a lot in first aid, and in first aid often you need really strong plants, right? It's way beyond chamomile, and so I use plants like aconite. And so I've never used conium, but I do shh, yo, yo, yo. So this is poison hemlock. I'm not sure if I said ivy or something, but this is Conium maculatum. Maculatum means spotted. There's no spots on this one yet. It's a Eurasian plant that's now transplanted all over the United States. They're really very pretty. They're poisonous. If you touch them, though, they're not poisonous. They don't have irritating chemicals on them. But if you touched it a lot and put it in your mouth, honestly, probably not much is going to happen. But you just want to be careful if you're around it, you know, because if you ate it, you know, it's the plant that might have killed Socrates. Certainly, these days, that's the plant that it leans towards. So there's no scientific name for the plant that killed him. So they used hemlock, but it's not sure that it's this. So poison hemlock, APACE, Conium maculatum, one of the most widespread poisonous plants in the United States. Eating it basically depresses your nervous system. And when you depress your nervous system, you can't breathe. It's actually how a lot of plants kill people. The alkaloids in many plants, when you take them, especially the ones that in small amounts suppress or depress pain, in large amounts kill you. The reason what's happening is you're taking them, if you take them in small amounts, and they suppress the amount of neurotransmitters feeding your nervous system. So you have less pain because you have less neurotransmission to that whole, you know, peripheral nervous system, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. But if you take too much of them, what happens is that the brain can't communicate with the lungs. The heart is somewhat autorhythmic. The heart doesn't need a lot of central nervous system controls. There is central nervous system controls for the heart, but the lungs are absolutely dependent. They have no autorhythmicity, right? Your lungs stop, they just stop. They need the brain to wake them up and start giving them the sympathetic and parasympathetic innervation. Does that make sense? So what happens when you take plants that suppress pain is too much of them suppress the autonomic firing of the brain to the lungs, and you can't breathe. You need a ventilator to live. So that's how this plant kills. It's actually how a lot of plants, aconite does the same but differently, like different chemical pathways. Not this, not this. Any questions on poison hemlock? Anybody recognize this one? It's in flower, but you can't really see it. Montia, now Claytonia. This is called, what's the common name? Miner's lettuce. And it's around here. It's pretty much the opposite as far as, actually this is a little bit succulent too. But this is Claytonia siberica. Now you say it. Claytonia siberica. And now you're going to say, I'm going to give you the family name and you're going to give it back to me. Portula cace. Portula cace. All right. 5 petals, 2 sepals. Again, 5 petals, 2 sepals. 5 petals, 2 sepals. 5 petals, 2 sepals. 5 petals, 2 sepals. Really nice. It's really an easy family to tell. It's the only family with 5 regular petals and 2 sepals. So actually, if you just know those things, you can easily see these. And there's very few poisonous Portulaceae, miner's lettuce or purslanes. And this one is actually just super tasty. Who's eaten miner's lettuce? Right. But basically, it's the starter wild food, you know, before you start giving people burdock leaves and other not really that tasty stuff. Miner's lettuce is a good one. The whole plant is edible, though the nice succulent petioles, ooh, succulent petioles, sometimes the tastiest part, but the whole plant is edible. This Siberica is annual, so probably even the roots would be edible. In annual plants, the roots usually have the same chemical constituents as the rest of the plants. In annual plants, the roots have the same constituents as the rest of the plant. The reason for that is it just doesn't, if you have a perennial plant, that plant like aconite or black cohosh or blue cohosh, those roots are going to live for many years. So they develop many chemicals to defend themselves against herbivory, getting eaten. With an annual plant, it doesn't really care. It's like 1 year, go to flower, go to seed, do it quick, let the roots just be the same chemical. So it's less complex. Does that make sense? How that works? So annual plants, usually the roots, so in annual plants, usually the roots have the same chemical composition as the rest of it. You know, with differences, there's more starches here and less starches there. Any questions about Miner's lettuce?